Hey guys, welcome to Peripheral Vision, and today we're taking a look at the Nintendo Gamecube controller. The controller's so nice, they used it thrice. And I'll get to what I mean by that in just a second. But first, let's take a look at the controller in general. As I said before, it is a Nintendo Gamecube controller, so this is the one they bundled initially with the console, and it is a lovely shade of indigo, or purple for the rest of us, and it's a pretty great controller. I'm going to go ahead and skip past the formalities here and just say this is a well-designed, excellently built Nintendo controller. And I'm not the only one that has that opinion, because a lot of people on the internet, and in general I guess, really like the way that this is, put together. Now, the big question that comes with controllers that are so highly regarded is, why? Why do people like this controller so much? Well, I think it has a lot to do with the contours, or, in layman's terms, the curves and shape of the controller. If you turn it around behind here, it does look a little bit funny, but it fits so well into your hands. Even the analog triggers, which are delightfully springy, if I may, have little dips in them where your fingers can kind of just snake into, so it fits all the way around. Then we move on to the front to see another set of interesting, but in my opinion highly functional choices. Over on the button side, we've got the big centralized A button, then we have the Y and X forming a semicircle around it, and a little B button over here. We do have a Z trigger up here, which is fine. It doesn't really have any interesting thing to note about it, but it is there. And then we've got the face buttons. So what I like about this is it has this big central button here that you can kind of easily jump around if you need to. However, if you have a game where you would be pressing down on the B button and pivoting, like a lot of games that I enjoy, you can easily just put your thumb here and pivot up. Not a difficult maneuver. Then we've got the C stick, or rather the C nub here. Mine's a little bit worn out, so it's kind of hard to see the C, but it's very small, but it's easy for the thumb to kind of just move with a simple motion. You don't have to worry too much about finding it. Even though it is small, you can just kind of move it around. The start button is just a start button. The D-pad is fairly underutilized considering the library of Nintendo Gamecube games. It is there. It is a very good Nintendo D-pad, the little dimple in the center, then the little triangular indentations for some tiny grips. And then we've got the analog stick, which is a great little analog stick. It's got these little rubber rings, which provide an excellent grip for the thumb. Again, you can kind of just move without thinking, and your thumb will automatically catch the stick, so great design there. And that is it for the Nintendo Gamecube controller. Except for the fact, people loved it so much, they decided, let's keep going with it. Move on to the Wii, a couple years later, and you have optional backwards compatibility with Nintendo Gamecube games, because Nintendo knows backwards compatibility sells a lot of extra systems. So they had additional inputs where you could plug in the Gamecube controllers, not just this one in particular, but any Gamecube peripheral that used the connector like this. So then move to the next system, the Wii U, and we have Smash. Now, people loved Super Smash Bros. Melee largely due to, well, obviously the tight controls and all that stuff, but they also loved using the Gamecube controller for that game. They loved using the Gamecube controller in Brawl as well. In fact, you could use this controller on the Wii for the Virtual Console titles, like the N64 and stuff. And then in the Wii U, when we got the new Super Smash Bros. Game, Nintendo did something that was really awesome, and they included a but they created a GameCube controller adapter for the Wii U. So you could actually use not only the newer GameCube controllers, but old school GameCube controllers to play on the Wii U's version of Super Smash Bros. So that's what I meant before when I said the controller is so nice, they used it thrice. It's a controller so cool and so well liked that people actually clamored for it until it got 2 generations ahead of its time to be played on the Wii U. And that's everything about the Nintendo GameCube controller. Does it live up to the hype? Is it as good as everyone says it is? Well, yeah, it's an amazing controller. It reminds me a lot of the excellent decisions made with the Super Nintendo controller and the Sony PlayStation 1 controller. Well, all the Sony controllers, really. But it's a really great little controller, and I would highly recommend it for anything that will allow you to use it, because this is probably one of the top 3 best Nintendo controllers, period. And as always, later days.